It is 9:31 and a gloomy Sunday morning, that's for sure. I'm Olivia Russell with meteorologist Jessica Dobson here. Napping weather, chilly weather, stay inside, watch football weather.
Marissa Burke is in the storm tracker right now. And Marissa, I drove through downtown getting to work this morning. That was still rough, but what are you seeing where you are right now? Looking ahead now to John Bull on Wave News at 5. We have breaking news happening in Madison, Indiana. Topping off our 5 o'clock news, a shooting outside of a factory has left one person dead. According to new CDC data, hospital admission for influenza last week dropped nationwide for the 3rd week in a row. Almost 19,000 people were hospitalized with the flu last week.
Why police believe that he is responsible?
Well, Shannon, investigators are pointing to an unspent bullet that was found within 2 feet of one of the girls' bodies. They say that bullet had been cycled through Allen's pistol at some point, but it's important to note here that investigators have never released how the girls died, and the affidavit doesn't mention it either. We're told cooperation will be key here. Any failures to meet the demands of the consent decree could have the city called back in front of a federal judge. A former Louisville police officer says the findings in the DOJ report will make it only harder for the department to bring in new officers. Taking a look outside this morning, Brian, I always say the best part about waking up on this shift is seeing the beautiful sunrise, but we're not seeing that on this gloomy day.
I know, but
According to the Federal Trade Commission, the top 10 scams that cost consumers the most through September of this year totaled $5.5 billion.
Kathleen Ninke is over there, and Kathleen, we're going to turn into Drake this morning and say, make that hotline bling.
Coming into Saturday, U of L was riding a 4-game win streak, and number 10 Clemson just got smacked at Notre Dame last week. So Cards fans definitely confident heading into Death Valley, despite it being a pretty hostile environment. We do want to give people a heads up because I believe we do have an NBC special report coming up in just a couple of minutes, an update on Pope Benedict XVI's condition. But first, I want to take a look outside and get to the weather for today because I know waking up to a rainy morning.
Wave News reporter Sean Bowdy is live there for the Build, Renovate, and Landscape Expo. And Sean, it's like you're taking us outside while being inside right now.
First, we're going to start with the pizza. Tell us about Craft House Pizza and what we have here, because I'm just salivating, and it's only 9 o'clock this morning. I'm always so optimistic. I can't tell you how much, well, I can tell you $20 in the past week just buying these tickets that I know I'm not going to win.
Okay, we're talking about Pride and Prejudice. I admitted it was on the reading list in high school. I read the Spark Notes. The Spark Notes were great. It's a great story.
This is Wave News Sunrise.
Thanks so much for waking up with us this morning. It is 6 o'clock on your Thursday morning. I'm Olivia Russell in for Shannon Kogan with meteorologist Tawana Andrew, and it is snowy this morning. And I said I like it when I can watch it from inside.
Yeah, and I said I like it when I don't have to work.
Right?
Because when you have the forecast, it is a whole different level of stress. But at least for today,
a lot we need to keep our eyes on. Thank you, Tawana. A 6-year-old girl killed in a Bullitt County house fire will be laid to rest today. Reagan Merriman was killed along with her stepmom, Erin Toogood, and Toogood's daughter, Hazley Heath, last Thursday. Services for Merriman are at 11 o'clock this morning at the First Baptist Church of Lebanon Junction. Hazley's visitation begins tomorrow and continues Saturday. Erin's funeral will be held after a celebration of life for the family next Wednesday at Paraket Springs Conference Center in Shepherdsville. They request that everyone wears bright colors and no black. A GoFundMe has been created to support the family. You can find a link to it by searching for this story on our website, wave3.com. Today is also the visitation for 2 people who died after an E-Town Denny's sign fell on their car. The victims are 72-year-old Lillian Curtis and her husband, 77-year-old Lloyd Curtis. Lillian died at a Louisville hospital. Lloyd died days later at the family's home. Lillian and Lloyd's visitation is this evening. Their funeral will be tomorrow morning at the Grissom Martin Funeral Home. The couple's daughter was also in the car and injured at the time, but an update on her condition hasn't been released yet. Elizabethtown police say the investigation into what caused that sign to fall continues. A man charged with killing his girlfriend is expected to be in court today. That shooting happened Tuesday night around 6:30 on Breckenridge Lane. Officers found a woman who had been shot several times when they got to the scene. She was taken to the hospital where she later died. Police say the shooter is 21-year-old Brandon Bell. Court documents say Bell was on the scene and witnesses saw him throw a handgun and admit to the shooting. The CEO of the Center for Women and Families has some advice for these situations. She emphasized that domestic violence violence is a community problem and not a personal problem, meaning everyone has the ability to help victims before it's too late.
If you know somebody's in a situation like that, have a conversation with them by asking them, what can I do to support you? Don't ask why they don't leave. Nobody knows better than a victim when the right time is to leave. It's a process. It's not an event.
LMPD says Bell shared a 2-month-old child with the victim. Bell is charged with domestic violence-related murder and receiving a stolen gun. In Kentucky, domestic violence victims can request an emergency protective order. So if you or someone you know is in need of help, Center for Women and Families is open 24/7. A man accused of causing a deadly crash while driving the wrong way on I-65 is expected to be in court today. Thomas Catalina of Manchester, Tennessee, is scheduled for a preliminary hearing this morning. Catalina is accused of driving the wrong way on I-65 South in August of last year, crashing into several cars at a high speed. The crash killed 26-year-old Rajnu Masood of Bowling Green. Police say Catalina told them he used meth a few days before the crash, and he was driving as fast as he could because the drugs had, quote, messed him up. Catalina faces several charges, including murder, DUI, and wanton endangerment. The case against 2 men accused of killing a Jefferson County Sheriff's deputy is now moving forward. Brandon Shirley was killed in August of 2021 while working off-duty as a security guard at a Shively car lot. Shirley had worked with the Sheriff's Office for 2 years in the court division. Jesse Johnson and Marquise Mitchell are accused of shooting Shirley. They were arrested several months after the shooting and were indicted last January. During a court hearing this week, Mitchell and Johnson's attorneys were told to add to court records by submitting more filings. Both men have previously pleaded not guilty. They're due back in court at the end of March. Mayor Craig Greenberg is outlining the items on his long to-do list. One of those focuses is tackling homelessness and affordable housing. Today, he's expected to make an announcement about his plans. Mayor Greenberg, along with healthcare professionals and community leaders, will host a press conference this morning. The mayor is expected to talk about the ways his administration will focus on those needing homes and housing. That includes eviction prevention, new affordable housing, and homeless outreach. Greenberg also talked about his to-do list yesterday at the Greater Louisville Inc.'s 2023 Capital Connection series. He detailed a number of ways his administration and the community can personally do something to improve housing.
When it comes to supporting people who want to invest in our community, who want to create good-paying career path jobs in our city, who want to help others create generational wealth that might not have had the opportunity to create wealth before. Those who want to revitalize neighborhoods. These are all things that we need to act on with a sense of urgency in our city.
One of the groups expected to join the mayor this morning is the Coalition for the Homeless. The organization has announced a new plan to fight homelessness. It has 4 main points: to establish a right to shelter, fund affordable housing, fund medical respite, and fund eviction prevention. The group says their plan solves problems like not having enough beds for people, whether for temporary or permanent stays. They say it would also help people getting discharged from hospitals and going straight back to the streets. You can find a full breakdown on wave3.com. We'll also bring you live coverage of the mayor's conference on air and online. Well, breaking election news now. A brand new poll shows Governor Andy Beshear holds a strong lead over his Republican challengers. Kathleen Ninke has the numbers in this Wave News Alert. All right, making sure everyone is safe on their morning commute. Thank you, Tawana. 6:09 now on your Thursday morning. Tax season can be frustrating when trying to deal with the IRS. You'll hear the changes the agency is making to improve customer service. That's next.